Hi and welcome. This is Taoist Master San Quinn, your local Sifu and your humble servant. And we're here at the hotspot here in Las Vegas, a first of many series that we're going to do on all the energetic frequencies that are laid out within the magic of Las Vegas and all the energy that comes with it. And what better way to start this series than to enter the abyss, which would be formerly known as Luxor, or is currently known as Luxor. And surprisingly, the amount of hotspots that we find here and what I'm coming across, and that surge, that chill that you're getting right now, just from what I'm saying, is quite phenomenal considering. Now, there is different layers to this particular space that I am quite interested in, even layered right back to where, before this was actually built. We're talking back in the 50s. This has only been constructed in the last 30 years. I think it was built in 1993, 95 perhaps. And so we have this seriously phenomenal representation of artifacts that are generally realized only in Egypt. Now, are these replicas? Absolutely. But I've got to be honest, when you take a closer look at this piece right here, and you can actually feel the vibration, the frequency, the energy that comes with this actual statue. What people don't seem to understand is that, you know what? Every time you construct a statue, you construct any sort of like construct of any kind, you're imprinting the energy, frequency, and vibration into the actual material. And that is undeniable. And of course, you are drawing in energies. There is actually, I'm quite clear that there's the presence of Thoth and other ancient Egyptian spirits that are roaming this space and using these sort of like portals to generate and direct an energy, frequency, vibration that is giving them the message or creating the catalyst of messages from people that are coming in and out of this facility. Now, this has changed a lot, and if we take a closer look and we're sort of going across this platform, just the energetics with the water and the actual formation of these particular parallel statues have very reminiscent of what we would call a protection to some degree. Now, these guys are not participants, and they're making it very clear to me that they're not participating in the actual protection due to the fact that when this was constructed back in the 90s, there was several layers where they used someone like myself, who's an expert in feng shui and energetic frequencies and how they're supposed to flow, positive to negative, and creating that fluidity where there's an equal charge of both. And that's why you place certain things in certain positions to get that type of energy flow. So here at the Luxor, we're realizing that there's a culmination of spirits that were here before the construction of this building. And then of course, what is present, because they're drawing this energies in by constructing this very architecture. And Thoth and many other Egyptian energies, spirits, frequencies are being held in this particular space. It's quite phenomenal, but what's more phenomenal is the incredible hotspots that we're finding in here that are layered back to thousands of years before even Vegas was nothing more than a blip on the map, and it didn't even have its name. It wasn't even clear as to what was going on in this particular space, but we're talking thousands of years. Now, the amount of information that's coming in as I'm sitting here feeling it is second to none. You as an audience observer of this particular material, you are also going to experience at this real-time moment the energetic effects of these hotspots right here in the Luxor. So I want you guys to take a moment, inhale these frequencies, because that chilling effect that you are getting right now is part of what is going on in relation to the infused spirits and energies that are in the building itself. So, without any further ado, let's take a closer look, and I'm going to give you the top 3 hotspots right here at the Luxor, and you are now going to be able to come back as visitors, as tourists, and come in and check these hotspots out, and you will validate them for yourself. Any of my students or any 126ers that are using all the material that I've created up until this point will be able to come in and sample these hotspots and be quite clear as they're the tuning fork and magnifier of this frequency. And it is second to none. That chilling effect that just doesn't seem to leave your body right now that you're experiencing as I'm speaking is part of the amplitude of what I speak of. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the top 3 hotspots here in Luxor. All right, here we go for the locals and all the tourists that are coming here to Las Vegas. This is hotspot number 1. If you have never been to the Luxor before, this would happen to be X marks the spot. Right out the front of what we call the Aura Bar or Diablo's Cantina is an absolute treasure trove of a plutonium dump site of energy. Now, if I was to actually be a sleuth or perhaps a psychic, there would be one of 2 things that are going on here. First and foremost, there's an ancient burial ground that's underneath this particular slab right here. The energetic surge from this is representative of more like a graveyard with in excess of over 300 to 400 souls. And so this is an ancient burial site for what seems to be American Indians, and this is an incredible space for anyone to get a supercharge of what is taking place. Now, the resonance of this frequency has everything to do with what is inhabiting this space. And they are the protectors of the general boundaries and the grid of this particular sacred ground. How interesting is that? We have other reflections of it. There's some entities that are entering in here that are more of Egyptian descent, and that seems to be a boundary setting that I can see here due to the fact that there's a clash between the American Indians and what has been drawn here just purely from the construct of the architecture itself. So this is hotspot number 1. Come in here, any 126 or any of my students, anyone that's used my material before, it's quite easy for you to feel this charge. It is a surge that is coming from the ground. It's coming in all directions, and it has an incredible chilling effect that you'll receive from just standing right here. X marks the spot. Use your hands as a tuning fork, and your whole body will be engulfed before you finish. Me finishing just this sentence, you will realize you are standing in the middle of the epicenter of a high energy charge. And do not be concerned about what that actually means in relation to the effects. You're nothing more than sampling it. It's not having a detrimental effect on your own auric field or your physicality in relation to whether it permeates in the cellular level. So, hotspot number 1, above the Diablo. Make sure you check it out and be mesmerized by the profound effects. And what do we have for hotspot number 2? This is more phenomenal than most people would imagine. You don't have to actually physically get in a plane and fly over to Egypt if you want to sample some of the frequencies that are coming out of the ancient geometry that is Egypt. And what's most formidable than the triangle in of itself and what that represents in relation to the power of the sacred geometry we speak of. Now, within Taoism, we use what we call the sacred infinite flower, and that is a construct of over 4 to 8 to even 18 different sacred shapes that generate this particular flower that is generated within your physical body that emulates the frequency, energy, vibration of ancient Taoist practices that are 10,000 years old. Now, if you take a closer look at this particular construct has a supercharge in relation to its resonance and where it's come from. Now, what you have to understand is this geometry was formatted thousands of years ago, and you can actually reference something as simple as a torus field that is duplicated within your own physical body, from the cowlick to the top of your head to basically the blossoming of a flower or the head of a broccoli. You're going to find these formations in one way, shape, or form. And this particular spot has got an incredible charge. That particular statue, even though it may be representative of something that would be out of Gaza within Egypt, it is absolutely a charge. And Inatu, which is the name of that particular spirit, is giving me a clear signal that, and he's telling me quite clearly that he's more than happy and very welcoming anyone that wants to come in and experience this particular charge and the frequencies that are related to the geometry and this high point right here in the middle of the Luxor. Now, I don't want you guys to be concerned by it. It will blow your mind. If you have had anything like a Kundalini experience, or moreover, if you've experienced the infinite Wuji body, which is a portal that we use within Taoism, you will recognize what it's like to have an awakening, and where your third eye will absolutely change the whole way you look at your reality. So this is hotspot number 2 for all tourists. It's on the atrium level right here in front of Inatu right here. Come and check him out, experience his frequency. You can put a prayer or an acknowledgement of how powerful the frequency is that he brings to this space, his spirit and energy, and just bathe in the energy, guys, because it is super powerful. Let's go on to hotspot number 3. And as you can see, looking over the construction of the carpet, there are no coincidences in relation to the deeper thoughts and understanding of how they constructed this particular architecture and hotel here in Las Vegas. The Luxor has all the elements of the sacred geometry, and as you can see, the infinity upon infinity upon infinity, and the torrid or torus field, more the comedy of anyone that understands or knows my channel. When I talk about torrid, I talk about celestial heat, which in turn, in a much deeper level, is what you would consider a torus field. This is evident all over the place, including the carpet on the floor. There are no coincidences that the architecture and the geometry of this place is second to none, and it is a hotspot, guys. The bodies has a charge on it that is absolutely insane. There are several of those bodies that may have been dedicated to science and the formation of that, but the spirits that are hanging out with those particular bodies are telling me quite clearly they did not surrender their flesh to the cause that is the body's exhibition. So as a tourist, you come out here on hotspot number 2, looking at just general heat that comes from the carpet itself due to the formation of the sacred geometry. You might want to go and say hello to the body's exhibition and pay a little prayer to some of the lost souls that are trapped here on an earth plane due to their surrender of their physical body voluntarily. Not, I believe. Unfortunately, due to how they explain it, there are many different components as to how they ended up in this exhibition, but it was not of their fruition. So when you come in here as a student, as a tourist, as someone who's sampling these hotspots, please come up here and pay a little prayer to these guys, and they will return that. They're speaking to it. Very grateful that you come and share your presence with them, and examining what they have left here on this earth plane within their physical bodies, and you're getting to experiencing that in this particular exhibition. So take a look at that as another add-on bonus to your experience within the hotspots of the Luxor. So here you have it. This happens to be one of the biggest hotspots here in Luxor, hotspot number 3. And as a tourist, you could come over here, step between the legs of the Sphinx, and sample the particular frequency and energy that comes out of these constructs that is more than just what you perceive as a facade, but some of the sacred geometry that's going into this has created a rippling effect. And I will tell you right now, either go to Egypt, Cairo yourself, or you come down here to Luxor and you're going to experience the same frequency, the same energy, the same vibration. And I promise you, it is second to none. And as you stand here and you're listening to my very voice, you can hear the frequency and you can feel the frequency. You can taste the frequency that is second to none. And it is a chilling effect, quite profound in its nature. I would say that if you were to take a closer look at the inner workings of this architecture, you would realize that whoever put the construct of this particular building together had a greater understanding of what was the balance. Now, I look closer at the history of the Luxor, and I've got to be honest, I believe that there was a lot of bad faux pas, a few things that were taking place after the building was constructed that led them to believe that there was bad luck here. And I would have to tell you, as an expert in the field of energy, frequency, vibration, in channeling and spirits and spirit entities and all things paranormal, I would have to agree that there has been a few things that have taken place within this building, within this land, this sacred land, that dates back to thousands of years, from the ancient burial ground that we talked about at hotspot number 1 to something that is even more formidably known just here in Las Vegas in the last 50 to 70 years. Before this building was constructed, there are things going on in this ground that I'm not going to speak on, but you can use your imagination as to what is actually taking place here. And the frequency is second to none. I've got a head count, a body count in excess of over 180 different energies. And that has direct links to something in the last 50 to 70 years. So to wrap this up, understanding the frequency, energy, vibration of this particular spot, being the third hotspot, the final hotspot, I want you, as a 126er, as an OG, as a student of mine, anyone who's used my material or has been part of my podcast, to come out here as a visitor, or if you're a local in Las Vegas, come out and use your tuning forks, and you will be blown away by the energy and frequency here. And we'll go deeper in a later video, probably in the next couple of months, as we go over the material that we've discovered here at the Luxor. And we'll go into depth as to some of the other spirits and entities that are inhabiting this space and what they're doing in layered protection so that there will not be a deconstruction of this building. Even though it has been told that they are going to tear this place down, I can promise you from what these entities are telling me, that will not take place. So it's good to know in your heart that something as a staple as Luxor in Las Vegas is going to be here for quite some time due to other influences outside of what you believe is the realm of man. Okay, so what I want you guys to understand when it comes to feng shui and moving the energy, how the energy is formed, the biggest mistake that they made here with the construction of this building was the 3 protectors that are at the entry of it, and of course the 2 sphinx in. These particular sphinx have a eccentric sort of like subtle charge that is not dominant enough to do exactly what they're supposed to do, which is protect this particular building. These guardians have absolutely zero interest in protecting the building or having any interest in making sure the well-being of people that are inhabiting this particular space are being taken care of. If anything, there are more inconsistent, stagnant frequencies in this space. I can guarantee, as my hand to the Tao, that there are more accidents going on here where people slip and fall due to the frequency and vibration that has taken place from the entities that are holding the front entrance of the building. Now, this is something that takes place over a period of time and has been shown as, well, their evidence to let the rest of the realm of man know that they're here to stay. So I would suggest if you operate in a duality, which 99% of people do until they meet someone like myself, that you take the time to be a little bit more mindful when you're entering this space, especially between the two Sphinx and these three guardians. This would have to be a bonus hotspot that you will be able to measure the temperature of when you walk through this space, and take your time, breathe it in, because if you pass through this at a higher speed, you're going to be met with a very strong resistance, and that will be evident from your tuning forks and of course the pressure that's going to take place throughout your whole physical body. So I would like to thank you. I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, signing off, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.